What's going on, Victorious Army? How y'all doing today? Hope you're all doing very well. And today in this vlog, I want to talk about this phrase that may have been going around. Maybe you've heard it, maybe not. It's know thyself, right? You must know thyself. What does that mean? What does it mean to know yourself, right? Does it mean that you know your favorite color, the food you like to eat, the shirts you like to wear, all these different things? A little bit, but not in the way that it's very necessary for you to really know yourself. Coming off of my last vlog where I spoke a bit about consciousness and being conscious, right? And now you know that it's pretty much your awareness of different things, right? Aware of more things going on the planet. You're aware of different energies, different frequencies, different vibrations, and generally just more aware of yourself, right? A lot of people who are self-conscious have a more awareness of themselves, but more from a fearful perspective, right? That doesn't necessarily help. So, right, I'm gonna talk again about, back to consciousness, right? So I was saying in my consciousness video about how to use your consciousness to your benefit was for you to know your balance, right? Know who you are, right? Coming out of all this information, coming out of all of these different energies and such, right? Now, you realize there's a lot more going on than you may have ever known, right? Personally, right? Same for me, more than I had ever known. There's a whole lot going on, a whole lot more going on, right? But the thing to note, right? Like I was saying, really pace yourself. See if you need to go back into that information or need to just leave it alone, right? Maybe you needed to see it just to move forward in your spiritual journey, to know that that's a thing, that's there. Okay, we good, right? But more so to the point, right? Self-mastery, right, is the other part I got to. Knowing thyself, self-mastery, right? I was speaking a lot more on balance, right? Really feeling, gauging whether you should go into that or you should stay away from it, or, move on in a different manner, right? So, as far as self-mastery goes, right, it's not just what your favorite food is, right? Maybe you were born in December or November, right? Know what your favorite color is. A little bit deeper than that to really know yourself, right? I recommend start to go into astrology, right? What is astrology, right? These are the different positions of the planets when you were born, right? When you walk or were brought into the earth or the earthly plane, right? However you want to perceive it or look at it, right? And with that, right, when you look at astrology, you start to learn the exact positioning of the planets, right, that are around the earth, that rotate around the sun, right? You start to know the positions of them when you were born, right? At the specific time, at the specific location, at the specific placement of each and everything. And what does that really do for me? Why do I really care about where the planets are when I'm born, right? Because they dictate who you are. It dictates really, who you are, right? As far as knowing myself, right? And in that, right, you need your things like your natal chart, right? Showing the positions of the planets, like I just said, when you were born. Right, and knowing these, it starts to turn into more information on you, right? Well, what about me, right? Really like the blueprint of your soul, pretty much. The blueprint of who you are, your mannerisms, how you feel, what are you attracted to, right? How do you go about certain situations? How are you internally? How do you think, right? All of these different types of things that, really make up who you are, to know yourself at a greater and deeper level, right? And once again, this is a great key to self-mastery, of course, because once you really begin to know who you are, you really start to see things differently, right? You really start to begin to, right, notice yourself more, right? And you can begin to fine-tune yourself or go off of what is presented to you within your charts, right? For me, just as an example, I'm a Sagittarius. My ascendant as a Sagittarius, right? And Sagittarius is ruled by the planet Jupiter, which I believe is for more so creativity and means of that sort, right? I'm just really starting to get into it myself, right? Because it can go very, very deep, but really you just need to know you, right? Especially given all of this craziness within consciousness and the conscious communities and all of these different sectors and informations that you can really get lost in, right? And the best way to not get lost into any of that is to know yourself, right? So yeah, right? Do some more research on astrology, right? See who you really are on the inside, see how you act, right, in certain situations. See how other signs see you, right, when you first walk up to them. See how you love, see how you control your anger, see how you manage yourself all the way around, right? Because when I looked up my charts, I was like, wow, that's some wild stuff. Because at the time, right, in my spiritual awakening, I started to become very honest with myself, right? So when I started reading my charts, right, I started to see things that, wow, yeah, I do that. Or, wow, right, I overcame that. Or, well, I don't necessarily do that, right? Different little things and aspects about myself that I now know more from me, things that I can choose to work on, things I can choose to leave be, things that more generally allow me to know who I am, which is a great deal, especially since, right, it's hard to know yourself through all this other information everybody's throwing at you and all of these other things being said and trying to come up out of all the fear of all these things, at least for me, right? At least when I was spiritually awakened, I came in or was awakened through a more fearful tone, right? That's because of things I had to deal with in my past, which was interesting, which my chart stated, right? I would have certain issues to deal with from my past, given as how I've explained a couple things in my blogs, but it's interesting, right? Because the more I start to really recognize these different things, the more I really, started to see it, right? The more certain little things that happen within my life, I can't exactly explain them, right? Maybe that's more so on a spiritual basis, right? Things that make sense to me that maybe someone else wouldn't get, right? Things that begin to allow me to see things differently or see things clearly, or something resonates with me a lot, right? And a lot of it starts to go back into my charts, right? As far as what I read about me. So, this is a great key to knowing thyself and the self-mastery, right? I believe I spoke on meditation a bit, which is a great thing, right? The control of the breath, right? Allowing you to experience yourself internally and seeing it flow ever so outward, right? Because if you're into this conscious stuff deep, you realize that everything is just backwards. It's all just backwards. It's backwards. It's crazy, terrible in some instances, but maybe not all, right? Because it took me a great minute to really realize that I don't have to just stay stuck, looking at the fear. I don't have to really just stay scared of things that I can't really control. I don't have to stay scared of things that I didn't know about that were there, and now that I know about them, I don't have to stay scared about it, right? So, right, all part of self-mastery, right? Once again, like I said, meditation, controlling your breath, doing something called the 4-4 technique, right? Which is breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, breathe out for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, and then repeat back and forth, right? It's a good one to start with. The 4-4 breathing technique allows you to start to embrace the now more, right? Being in the moment even more, right? It's like being in the moment even more. Like, what does that mean, right? it's not something you can really describe, right? Because it's like, here I am now, right? But the more you control your breath, the more it starts to allow you to feel more in the now, right? It allows you to align your chakras, right? Your 7 major chakras. Your root, sacral, solar plexus, heart chakra, throat chakra, third eye chakra, crown chakra, right? 7 major chakras, right? You need to start to align with these. You actually have about 209 chakras, but right, the major ones to focus on are the 7, right? So the other 202, not quite sure what those do, but start with those, right? And these are some keys that I use every so often, I'm gonna be honest, right? Because it is a little difficult at first to begin to meditate, right? Because a lot of people seem to have a problem, sitting down and just being calm for moments at a time, right? I kind of did, and then for a while during my spiritual awakening, since I just personally didn't want to talk to nobody, I just personally just kind of staring at the wall, not really moving, right? Because I'm just so mentally encumbered by all of this different information that I was learning, right? And though, I went through my awakening over a period of years, but everything seemed to just come at me at once, right? It was like I was more frozen, right? Frozen because I was scared, I wasn't breathing properly, my diet wasn't the best, right? All of these little things that really have a greater impact on you as a being, right? Because that's the thing, when you start to meditate, you start to feel differently. I'm going to say it's a better feeling because I don't quite know how to describe, the feelings you feel. It's hard to describe feeling after a certain point. But when you successfully meditate, you will feel a difference, right? You will certainly feel a difference. I know I have, by far. I need to do it a lot more, which that's what I'm working on, right? But once again, right, I'm on my journey to self-mastery. I hope it starts to help you on your journey to self-mastery. And moving forward, right? Moving forward with your spiritual journey, right? Because that is the journey that no one else can go on but you. Only you see things like you do. Only you know things you know, right? And once again, right? I guess metaphorically, the ball's in your court, right? Because, after coming into consciousness, right, like I was saying, it really just turns to you as far as, you being able to manage yourself, you being able to know yourself more, you being able to do the things that pertain to you, right? Really all within balance, right? The idea is for you to find your balance without lancing your balance. Right? And then the other part is, right, when you start to get into etymology and, using certain words and things, right, everything starts to get a little bit more complicated, right? Because things like, okay, let's start one for instance, kind of getting off track here, but just one for instance, right? Like morning, right? Hello, good morning, right? But when is it ever good to mourn, right? When is morning ever good, right? Not the time of day, but morning, right? The word itself, morning, right? Morning is typically a sad, painful feeling, right? Why would you ever want to mourn, right? Like, the more you start to really look into things, the scarier stuff kind of gets. But we're gonna refrain from going that far now. But right, just refrain from going down that path anymore, at least for now, right? Because really, it just comes down to, once again, right, finding your balance. Knowing how to navigate your own spiritual path, right? And if you've been spiritually awakened, you truly are blessed, right? But then blessed, right? Blessed is a bloodletting, right? And once again, right, it's a word we all use, and blessings seem to be a good thing, but bloodlettings don't necessarily seem to be a good. You see what I'm saying here, right? So look at it more like a blissing, right? To be in bliss is one of the greatest things not bliss. Right? But really just taking the time once again to know yourself, right? Really know yourself, right? Know your blueprint of your spirit, of your soul. Know how you really interact and experience life in a greater depth. So, that's pretty much it. Or I guess I could talk about a couple different things. Like I've heard you. I'm sure you may have heard of the different zodiac signs, right? In accordance with the different houses, right? The 12 houses have 12 signs, right? You got your Libra, Leo, Pisces, Sagittarius, Cancer, Aries. Hold on. Oh, there are more. Give me a second. I'll give you at least one more. Gemini, right? There you go. Got you one more. But right, I'm sure you've heard a lot of different people talking about these sort of things. You're like, what is that? What is all of that? Right? These are the certain groupings of stars, right? Certain groupings of stars within the sky that which dictate these certain houses. Right? Once again, it gets deeper than that, but the base thing that I believe you should do that'll help you on your spiritual journey and your spiritual path is to look into your natal chart, because this, for facts, will definitely give you a greater in-depth understanding and understanding, right? Blueprint of the soul inside of yourself. Because then, also, right, you start to realize, right, December, right, it's the 12th month of the year, but DECE, or DECI, DECI, right, that's for 10, right? But why would a word December, with the beginning representing 10, the 12th month in the year, right? Strange things, right? Once you really go more in depth with things, where you start to really find these falsalities about what things are and what things were, right? But, as it is, right, it is what it is. All you can do is pick yourself up and move towards greater things for yourself, right? Now, right, after being spiritually awakened, you've been given keys to be able to help you to now navigate through such a wild, crazy world, right? Through all of this falseness, right? Through all of those fake broccolis out there walking around, right? But that's pretty much it. I just wanted to speak to you a little bit more on self-mastery and knowing yourself, right, at a deeper level. Hope this really helps you out to go look into more things about yourself. Hope this helps to further you on your spiritual journey and be able to navigate to those greatest wonderful points that you deserve to be at. Alright, as always, lead yourself to your greatest victory.